Hi y'all! Today I'm going to be doing the Booktuber Newbie Tag. Alright, you are here for the questions, so let's get right into it. Question number 1, why did you start this channel? I love talking about books, and in my real life I don't have a lot of friends who are bookish. Most of my friends, I start talking about a book I've been reading or a book I'm excited to read, and I get the reaction of...
Wait, you mean read?
While we're still alive?
Question 2, what are some of the fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? I am really excited to share with you my expert level production skills along with my entirely wholesome personality and my unique take on all of these things that are Booktube. I'm gonna keep a straight face. Question 3. What are you most excited for about this new channel? I love talking about books. One thing I love about the Booktube community is how wide of a range you get with Booktubers. I especially love the small Booktubers who I found have at least some similar taste to my own. And through them, I've been able to find so many new books that I have loved and that I wouldn't have found if I wasn't a part of the Booktube community. So I'm really excited to be doing the same thing, and maybe some of you and some of my viewers can learn my taste and recommend books, because, yeah, I'm here for the books. I'm so excited for the first time one of my viewers has learned my taste and says, hey, you'd probably like this book, and then I read it, and I do. That would be awesome, and I'm really looking forward to that. Question 4, why do you love reading? Why do you love breathing? Question 5, what book or series got you into reading? I remember the books I loved the most were the old Babysitter Club books.
Likes her or likes her.
And especially the American Girl books.
Hello! Father says we're not to speak to the malicious soldiers. Why not? Father says they're disloyal to the king.
Which probably started my love for historical fiction. Question number 6. What question would you ask your favorite booktubers? I'm so new to being on this side of the camera. I don't even think I have enough experience to know what to ask. If pressed, I guess I would ask my favorite booktubers, what was your biggest surprise about being a booktuber? What was the thing you weren't expecting? What was the big culture shock? I think that would be a cool question to hear their answer to. Number 7, what challenge do you think starting a Booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? This will probably be more about time management. I read a lot and I love talking about books, but the time to film and edit and just fitting that into my schedule. I want to be very consistent in my upload schedule. I want to put out a video a week. All the advice and things I've read said that's the best approach to have. I'm already an author and I'm writing my second book, and all the editing and the marketing and things that go along with that. This is just another thing to add on, but I'm up for the challenge and I think it'll be a lot of fun. Question 8, when did you start reading? I was very late learning to read. I didn't learn to read till I was nearly 10. I didn't have a learning disorder or reading disorder as far as they could tell. I just didn't get it. I could do mathematics and most science problems at a high school level by the time I was 9 or 10, but I had to have someone read the questions to me. I didn't catch on to reading past See Spot Run until very late. But once I got started, you couldn't keep me away from books. I was in the library all the time. We were really big in the library when I was a kid. We never had a lot of money for books, but we were at the library every week. And I remember having to keep track of what my borrowing limit was from certain genres because they put limits on me. I read so much and I would read anything. Number 9, where do you read? I read mostly at home. Generally when I'm going out of the house, out and about, I've got things to do, and that's the whole reason I'm going out. So most of my reading is done at home if we're going on a trip or vacation without the kids. without the kids. Very important that it's without the kids. Then I'll read there for sure. Question 10. What kind of books do you like to read? I like all genres except horror. I don't like horror at all. I like science fiction, I like fantasy, I like contemporary, I like romance, I like trashy romance. I read a lot of young adult, I read a lot of new adult, I read a lot of adult. I like big books, I like little books, I like novellas. I don't read a lot of middle grade, but not against it, just I like Harry Potter. I like thrillers, I'm not huge into mysteries, or at least not the cozy mystery type. I like series, I love standalones. I like literary fiction. I do struggle sometimes with the classics. I prefer a more contemporary voice, but I have read and enjoyed a number of them. Jane Austen has a wicked sense of humor. Right now, and by right now I mean, this week, because that's liable to change, I like contemporary romance and I like high fantasy. Urban fantasy I'm a little shaky on. It kind of depends on the author and the setting. Mostly, if I'm going to read fantasy, I'm going to gravitate toward more high fantasy, epic fantasy. And high fantasy versus urban fantasy. High fantasy is when it's on like another planet. It's an entirely different world. And urban fantasy is more contemporary and more of a hidden magical world. So you get vampires, werewolves, that sort of thing. I think that's almost a staple of urban fantasy. And I like that. But I like high fantasy more this week. That's all from me today. Talk to me in the comments and tell me who your favorite booktuber is. I'm always on the lookout for new booktubers and to discover new books, and I'd love to hear from you. So until then, bye-bye. This tag was originally created by blank because I meant to look that up before I started filming. Question 1. Why did you start this channel? I love talking about books, and there is a plane going overhead. Oh my God, this day cannot get more distractions. Hi. It's another plane. 'Tis the sound of freedom. That's what it says on the sign, anyway.